Kaduna Deputy Governor resigns, citing disrespect for his office. Kaduna State APC rebuffs national directives to quash Shehu Sani's suspension. In international news, more than 8 dozen people died when a 7.0 magnitude earthquake hit Indonesia. And in sport, Kenya emerged overall champion as the Summer 2018 wraps up.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Kano Deputy Governor Hafiz Abubakar has resigned for what he cited as disrespect for his office and unjust treatment by the governor. He said in his resignation letter he would leave office at the end of his tenure. The Deputy Governor was reported to have petitioned the Police and State Security Service earlier last week for what he claims to be threats to his life. A day before his resignation, 30 members of the State Assembly had signed an impeachment notice against him. Okay, this is a case of a state branch of a political party telling the national office to buzz off. That is what the Kaduna State chapter of the ruling All Progressives Congress has done when it rejects the directive from the party's National Working Committee, overturning its earlier indefinite suspension of Senator Shehu Sani, representing Kaduna Central in the National Assembly. ANN's Lucia Dayemi reports on what could set a precedent in the way a party's national authority relates to its own local branches.
APC's Assistant Publicity Secretary in Kaduna State, Salisu Tanko Wuzono, had released a statement on Sunday basically saying the state chapter's announcement of Senator Shehu Sani's indefinite suspension stands. Regardless of the reversal of that decision by the National Working Committee of the party, headed by National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole, the state chapter says Sani is guilty of anti-party activities. The chapter also says it will not capitulate, as that would sacrifice the party's cohesion, discipline and unity, and that the APC's national headquarters has no power under the party's constitution to overrule the decisions of any ward, local government or state executive. It says Sani should not expect the national headquarters to impose him on the state's chapter after treating the branch with contempt for 3 years. The statement says the national headquarters should respect the party's constitution and avoid what would appear as taking loyal members for granted or treating traitors as heroes. It is not clear what APC's national office would do in response. Lucy Adeyemi, ANN News.
This is a case of political football. Cross River State former Attorney General has defected from the People's Democratic Party PDP to the Social Democratic Party SDP. As he was doing that, SDP older state leader was the campaign to the People's Democratic Party PDP. Chief Ayo Ekpo, Cross River State former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, says APC and PDP have failed Nigerians. So he has decided to defect to SDP, which he described as a truly progressive party. But SDP leader in Ondo State, Modukwe Akindele Martins, has dumped the SDP Ekpo described as truly progressive. She has opted for the PDP, which Ekpo says has failed Nigerians. Akindele Martins said SDP has no commitment to effecting any change of government next year. I guess that woman's soup is that man's poison, or vice versa. Speculations had been rife about an impending defection of Akwa Ibom State's former governor, Godswill Akpabio. He did much to somehow confirm the rumor over the weekend when he met with President Muhammadu Buhari in London. ANN's Rotimi Akintunde reports.
Godswill Akpabio's speculated defection to the All Progressives Congress appears to be imminent as the former governor of Akwa Ibom State held talks with President Muhammadu Buhari in London over the weekend. APC leaders were reported to have attended the meeting as well. Akpabio did not confirm the rumored impending defection, but he posted photographs of the meeting on his Twitter page, on which he wrote of a need for meaningful dialogue among leaders to build bridges. Akpabio had also met with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo last week. Information Minister Lai Mohammed also confirmed Akpabio's imminent defection. A party official has said the former governor will surely switch parties will be received to APC at Ikot Stadium by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, Senator Ita Enang, and APC leaders in Akwa Ibom State. Rotimi Akintunde, ANN News.
They had gone out to picnic, have fun, and swim in River Maya Selba in Kashaka, Taraba State. 21 National Youth Corps members never thought much of what was to be a day of enjoyment. But sadly, it turned out to be a weekend of doom for them. Only 13 returned alive. 9 Corps members drowned when they were swept away by an upsurge in the river's water volume. Police say 7 of the corpses had been recovered. State NYC coordinator had described the incident as unfortunate. Identities of the deceased have not been released. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi says lack of funding is to blame for the delay in the Ibadan to Kaduna rail project, for which contract had been signed months ago. The lack of funds stems from the unavailability yet of a 7 billion naira loan the country expects to obtain from China's Exim Bank to finance the project. There are many ongoing rail projects across the country, and the government has had to fund some of them from its own resources. There appears to be some hurdles to cross between Nigeria and China. The minister says areas of challenges that have affected the loan agreements include the issue of manufacturing coaches and wagons in Nigeria instead of bringing them from China. Amechi said hundreds of jobs would be created for Nigerians once all the rail projects kick off. The Rochas Foundation School in Owerri received an important visitor over the weekend. Gambian First Lady Fatoumata Barrow was there as one of the education and health institutions she planned to visit during her trip to Nigeria. The First Lady marked her birthday in Abuja with a tour of the Maitama District Hospital, accompanied by Aisha Buhari, wife of Nigeria's president. Mrs. Barrow presented gifts to child and neonatal patients. Her visit to Nigeria was to highlight her country's cordial relations with Nigeria. Good gesture. Stay with us, ANN News will return after these messages.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes.
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the fact behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and African News. Egypt says its security forces have killed more than 50 suspected militants in the northern Sinai Peninsula. The military said on Sunday that another 49 suspected militants were arrested. It also reports 26 hideouts and weapons depots were destroyed and 64 explosives dismantled. Egypt launched a nationwide operation against militants in February and has struggled to fight a long-running insurgency in the Sinai. Congo's health ministry says more than 40 cases of Ebola hemorrhagic fever, 13 of which have been confirmed, have been recorded since the beginning of the new epidemic in eastern DRC. The health minister announced last week that a new epidemic was spreading around the city of Bini, barely a week after announcing the end of a previous epidemic in the northwest of the country killed more than 30 people. World Health Organization has warned that a new Ebola outbreak poses a particular challenge because the region is a war zone. The ministry says vaccination will be an integral part of the response. Police have used tear gas to disperse Kenyatta National Hospital workers who on Monday morning demonstrated against the late payment of health service allowances. The workers had given a strike notice and followed it with actions on Monday morning. The Workers' Union, through its Secretary General, gave the government a grace period that expired on Sunday. Sources say more than 4,000 workers are yet to receive their allowances. South Sudan's president and head of the country's main rebel group signed a final ceasefire and power-sharing agreement on Sunday, marking a new launched era of peace. President Salva Kiir called on everyone that the agreement should be the end of war and conflict in the country. Foreign Minister of neighboring Sudan, Al-Dudire Mohammed, said an agreement on outstanding issues has been signed, and this agreement expresses the commitment of all parties to a ceasefire. Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir said on Sunday oil would be pumped from South Sudan's Wada region to Sudan beginning next month. South Sudan became independent from Sudan in 2011, but civil war broke out 2 years later between the government led by Kiir and a rebel movement led by Machar. The United States said Zimbabwe's recent presidential election was marred by violence in the aftermath of the vote. U.S. called on the winner to show magnanimity and the opposition to show graciousness in defeat. The poll held on Monday was the first after Robert Mugabe's rule. A former ally of the ousted autocrat Emerson Mnangagwa won the election. Defeated opposition leader Nelson Chamisa decried the official results as a sham, sparking a deadly crackdown on protesters in Harare on Wednesday when troops opened fire. 6 persons were killed. U.S. State Department spokesperson said in a statement, the vote presented the country with an historic chance to move beyond the political and economic crisis of the past and toward profound democratic change. She added that the U.S. extended its condolences to families and friends of those killed and injured, while appealing to political leaders to maintain calm. Ivory Coast former President Laurent Gbagbo has been chosen to head the dissident wing of the Ivorian People's Party, which he created. Gbagbo is currently on trial at the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Spokesperson for the pro-Gbagbo wing said he was the only candidate for the position, winning 98% of more than 5,000 votes cast. The party's head and Ivory Coast former Premier Pascal Affi Guzan was re-elected at the weekend to head the party for another 5 years. The larger group supports Guzan, while the descendants back Abdurrahman Senghane, Gbagbo's close ally. The former president has pleaded not guilty to charges arising from Ivory Coast's post-election violence 8 years ago. We'll take another break and be right back after these messages.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you the use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone where no go for your hand, drop that Palasa phone. Phone where no fit take selfie, drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it not for your hand, that's Palasa phone.
Shining our eyes on breaking news, whether in the east or in the west, with Al-Shabaab in Somalia and Boko Haram in Nigeria, with turbulence in the north and agitation in the south. Wherever you live in Nigeria, wherever news happens in Africa, we've got it covered. ANN News, connecting Africans in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is NN News. In world news, at least 91 persons are dead and hundreds injured as a 7.0 magnitude earthquake rocked Indonesia's popular tourist island of Lombok on Sunday. Indonesian authorities and the U.S. Geological Survey said the powerful earthquake struck at a depth of 10.5 kilometers off the north coast of Lombok. The country's National Board for Disasters warned on Monday that the numbers would likely increase as search operations continued. Authorities report that everyone who died was an Indonesian citizen, even though the disaster area is a well-known tourist destination. A 6.4 magnitude quake hit the same area in late July, but only caused some damage. Chicago was a firing zone over the weekend as gun violence erupted between rival gangs in the city. Police report at least 40 persons were injured and 4 killed over a 7-hour period. Multiple gatherings were also said to have been attacked by gunmen on Chicago's west side. A block party and a funeral reception were caught in the crossfire. 25 persons, including an 11-year-old boy, were injured by gunfire. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was fortunate over the weekend to have escaped what has been called an assassination attempt. Several drones armed with explosives were detonated near him while speaking at celebrations marking the 81st anniversary of the National Guard. Maduro later said on television it was an attempt on his life. He accused the Venezuelan far-right and the Colombia far-right of collusion in the attack. He also said Colombian President Germano Santos is responsible. 7 persons were reported injured and were being treated for unspecified injuries. Maduro has been president since 2013, taking over from strongman Hugo Chavez, of whom he was a close ally. He has faced a host of crises since taking office. His country has dealt with severe economic issues, hunger, rising crime, and inflation. An Iraqi court has sentenced a French man and a German woman to life in prison on Monday after finding them guilty of belonging to Islamic State. 55-year-old French Lachemama Gabouche and 22-year-old German Nadia Reina Herman were found guilty of joining the hardline militant group. Herman had previously been sentenced to a year in jail for entering Iraq illegally. The sentences can now be appealed. Saudi Arabia has ordered the Canadian ambassador to leave the kingdom within 24 hours after his nation criticized the recent arrest of women's rights activists. Southern Foreign Ministry also said it would freeze all new businesses between the kingdom and Canada. The dispute seems to be centered around a tweet by Global Affairs Cand, managed by the Foreign Ministry, calling for the immediate release of women's rights activist Rama Badawi. His brother, Raif Badawi, was arrested in Saudi Arabia in 2012 and later sentenced to 1,000 lashes and 10 years in jail for criticizing clerics. Canada says it stands together with the Badawi family and will continue to strongly call for the release of both Raif and Samar Badawi. Saudi Arabia says no nation, including Canada, can claim to be more concerned than the kingdom for its own citizens. Stay with us, we'll be back after those messages.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, Lindsay, all right? Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes.
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
I am Lucy Adeyemi.
I am Rotimi Akintunde.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji.
We bring you
the news
on ANN News.
Business,
politics,
Global news.
Watch ANN News.
In a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to sport. Kenya came to Asaba with one goal in mind: to shine and be the best. That they achieved with a total medal count of 6 gold on Sunday, the last day of the African Athletics Championships. Kenya derailed South Africa and Nigeria to emerge overall champion. The East Africans finished strongly with 11 gold, 6 silver and 2 bronze medals. South Africa has led the medal table onto being toppled on the last day. They left Asaba with 13 silver and 8 bronze medals. Team Nigeria eked out 9 gold, 5 silver and 5 bronze medals, exactly what they did in Durban 2 years ago. Next African Athletics Championship will take place in Algeria. Nigerian team to the just concluded African Gymnastics Championships have performed very well to become one of the best countries at the event. The team won 9 gold and 2 silver medals. Head coach Anthony Osoko said the team had surpassed their last performance. The Africa Gymnastic Level System Championship is an annual inter-club competition hosted by the University of Pretoria. Asuku said the team's success was as a result of the support by the Ministry of Sport and the gymnast parents in ensuring the growth of the sport in Nigeria. With that, it's a wrap on today's ANN News. Thanks for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit our website, annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.